So we've been covering what's been going on with this entire NBA gambling scheme that was uncovered by the FBI. And there has been more reports that have come out about the behind the scenes of what was happening with some of the key players involved. What are we talking about? Terry Rozier being one of the main ones involved in the scheme that was going on. In case you don't know who that is, Terry Rozier was at the time a player for the Charlotte Hornets, now a player for the Miami Heat. And he had a lot of issues going on. Not only are there video clips seen of him missing layups, turning over the ball, and even text messages that allege Terry Rozier told somebody that he was going to check out of the game 5 minutes into the game so they could place certain bets. It gets wild. But now we're finding out Terry Rozier had a lot of other things going on, including some major tax debt. Check this out. Terry Rozier reportedly owed $8.2 million in unpaid taxes and was hit with a federal tax lien in 2023. The same year, he was accused of manipulating a game as a part of the gambling schemes. And in case y'all are wondering, well, what was going on with Terry Rozier? Was he just broke? Was he a struggling NBA player? No, he was not. So he got a major deal in 2015. And his salary that year was $1.8 million. 1.9 the following season, 1.9 again, 3 million. And then in 2019, he signed a massive multi-year deal and was making $20 million a year. A year. Y'all can do the calculations and figure out how much that comes to a game. Then 18,000 the next year, 17, 21, 23, and then he's with the Miami Heat making 23 and $24 million a year. How did we get here? Let's go over to Jason Whitlock's channel and find out what was going on with this debt from Terry Rozier.
Terry Rozier, it's been reported he made $160 million in his NBA career, but somehow just a few years ago had an $8 million tax lien from the IRS in 2023. And again, this is where and I know he's a veteran, but I'm talking about these young people, and we give them all this money, and they mismanage it. They don't understand how to pay taxes, or they turn everything over to someone else, and you know, things fall through the cracks.
It's crazy.
But I think we're getting at the source of what perhaps incentivized Terry Rozier to gamble. And then someone sent me this, or I saw this over social media. James Harden last night, his over-under was 20 and a half. He had 20 points at halftime. Did not score another point. And again, I don't think we would be focusing on this unless there was this scandal going on in the NBA. But we're going to be evaluating the NBA through this lens the entire season, which yes. I don't think is a good thing. Paul, I'm going to come to you first because you think this gambling thing is going to escalate and perhaps really, really damage the NBA. Why do you think it's going to escalate, and just how unhealthy is it going to be with all of us evaluating every aspect of the NBA through a gambling lens?
Yeah, and y'all keep in mind, we are going to go through the full indictment as it concerns Terry Rozier and see exactly what they're saying his involvement was. It's pretty shocking to see that a player was this involved. Not anything new, but the fact that it's so blatant on the national level it's going to change a lot of things of how the NBA moves going forward. Adam Silver is being held accountable by Congress. We'll get into that later. Check this out. Here we go.
Yeah. So Rozier and what Chauncey did, basically throwing a game at, innocent until proven guilty. But I think enough video evidence is there to suggest that there's some wrongdoing. I just think these are two people that they're starting with. I think there's massive names in it. And will we ever hear who those names are? I'm not sure. This might be a message. Stop what you're doing. We're starting with these guys. One's a former player. One is an irrelevant player for the most part. And we're coming for you. And you have to stop. And your whole entourage has to stop. But I do think more will be uncovered at the mid-level. Small to mid-level, I think we may hear more coaches. I think we may hear more refs. Donahue was on Patrick Bet-David the other day. I haven't had a chance to listen to him. I want to get into that because if anybody knows, he knows. And there's a lot of truth. And even if this didn't happen last week, there's a lot of us that are aware of what happened with James Harden last night. And there is 100% suspicion, basically, across the league. As it relates to Terry Rozier, and on my platform, I did something last week that spoke to people don't understand what their financial situation is, and to suggest that he made $100 million, or whoever the player is, $100 million, how could this, why would they do it for 200? We don't know who or what has their hooks into him. And here's one last final thought. People don't understand, and I've owned many businesses. It's very difficult to run a business and manage all your taxes. You need to have professional people around you. The jock tax is significant. These guys, the NBA 32 teams, you actually have to pay taxes in some 27 to 29 states. And if you don't have somebody managing your money, before you know it, you owe taxes in the states that you performed a service. And they're coming for you. Do that enough.
Yeah, so basically, if you travel to Texas, you're good, right? You play in Texas a lot of the time, no income tax. You don't have to really worry about things as much there. But then you go to a state, like let's say here in Georgia, you go to New York, these players get paid per game. So when they travel, they have to pay the taxes in the state that they're in, which is crazy to me, but an incentive for having an NBA team there. So that's going to be a big issue for a lot of these players. And I think I agree, that's where a lot of them get caught up.
Enough times over and over without addressing it, it stacks up. And if I had to guess, that's part of what the issue is here. And then there's the problem with these guys trusting people. First of all, the lack of knowledge and sincerity about doing it the right way. But then the trusting people and turning it over, I think there's something real there. And I think there's a lot of people like Terry Rozier that are behind like that.
I agree with you. Particularly, they come into the NBA and professional sports so young that they have to trust someone. And generally speaking, they're agents. Because, again, I've been represented by the biggest agencies, CAA and things like that. And there's a machine that they put you in. And the next thing you know, hey, they turn you over to this person's going to pay all your bills. You got homes in 2 or 3 locations, and this person or this group is going to manage paying your electric bill, your gas bill, your mortgage, your this and that. And it's a group of people you're not that familiar with. But your agent says you should trust them. And again, not all of them are trustworthy. And you become so dependent on others to handle things that a normal person, him and his wife, have to handle themselves, and they actually know the details. That's how you get in and out over your head. And by the time you buy a house for your mama here, buy a house for your baby mama here.
Yeah.
Paul, the thing you said that I was not familiar with is you're saying that a pro athlete that plays and performs in different cities may end up owing money in different cities, even though a guy's drawing his check from the Dallas Mavericks.
They get paid
Are
per
you
game.
1,000% sure of that? I'm not questioning you, but that is something new I'm learning.
Yep.
Yeah, and it is in that way in business too. It's where you perform the service. So I had a business in Michigan and in Florida. What I did in Michigan is not relevant to Florida, and what I do in Florida is not relevant to Michigan. It's where the service was performed, sold, and collected. So they're performing and traveling around. You can look it up on ChatGPT. You can look at it. It's readily available out there from very reliable sources that they have to pay different tax rates in different cities that they perform the service in. And
And it sucks because a lot of the players that play and say let's say California, yes, they're getting paid all this money, but the taxes they're paying are out of the you know what. So they're paying all this taxes, then they got to go and pay taxes in other states. It's a whole mess. And when it comes to Terry Rozier, he might be broke. And this is still going to be such an interesting thing to see how it plays out, because we initially reported and talked about this when the news first came out about him paying a $6 million bond just to be released from jail. Now we're finding out Terry Rozier is in bigger trouble because Sham says a statement from the NBPA and the spokesperson for Terry Rozier said, while we are in agreement with the league that upholding the integrity of the game is of the utmost importance, their decision to place Terry on leave without pay is counter to the presumption of innocence and inconsistent with the terms of our collective bargaining agreement. We plan to challenge their decision via the proper channels. So, with that being said, Terry Rozier is not getting paid right now. I'm sure he has some money. He has something out there making 20 million a year, but you guys would be surprised at how easily these players can go through money, especially as Jason Whitlock said, they've got all these people they're taking care of. So now that we know Terry Rozier is not going to be paid while he's on leave, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. More to